Welcome into another week of Mean Green Game Day just outside Gate 4 here at Apogee Stadium as the North Texas Mean Green are set to take on the Old Dominion Monarchs in a Conference USA action in the next couple of minutes. We've got some passionate fans behind us, and we're excited about this Conference USA matchup, a matchup that's coming on the heels of a little bit of change in Denton. A lot has been really kind of shifted around since the last 2 weeks since we've been here. For Drake Lawson, Josh Conrad, Ashley Pickle, I'm Kyle Yeomans. We're the Mean Green Game Day crew. And guys, it's about 40 degrees cooler up here than it was last time we were here. And then also after a big UTSA win, North Texas went on the road and really kind of had a little bit of a setback in their game against FAU. Drake, I'm going to start with you. What happened in that 69-31 final score from Boca Raton?
Well, I'm going to quote Seth Luttrell on this one. He said there's a fine line between confident and cocky.
Yeah.
And there's no doubt about it. The Mean Green were cocky this past weekend. I mean, they came out there, they thought they were some big, tough team that could just walk into FAU and beat them. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They just got whooped. I mean, when you let that many points out in the first half, you can't tackle a guy to save your life. Yeah. Defense played bad. Offense didn't play much better. It was just a full team effort collapse.
I still can't think after that guy made the eagle noise walking by. I jumped so much. But, I mean, it was just a disaster on both sides. And it's one of those things where we run the hurry-up offense. When you're not scoring on hurry-up offense, when you're not getting first downs, things get ugly for your defense really quick. You're giving the defense having to go out there so quickly after they just were. We couldn't get a running game down with Jeffrey Wilson, so we had to throw it. Yeah, I mean, it was just a disaster on both sides.
And I mean, they were there, but did they even show up? Honestly, like maybe it would have been better if they didn't even walk into that stadium in Boca Raton. I mean, it was an ugly game, both sides of the ball. No one looked prepared. No one looked ready. It's like Drake said, there's such a difference between confidence and cockiness, and it was so relevant. I mean, they went into that game. Oh yeah, we got this. You know, we've been blowing past everyone in Conference USA. They weren't even there. I mean, just not. They just laid down. It was embarrassing, honestly, and I hope it was a good wake-up call for this team.
Hopefully so, especially after coming off of such a big win in that UTSA game here at home. They were really on top of the world in terms of really momentum in terms of the Conference USA standings as well. Now, they do still sit atop the CUSA West, but it does kind of get a little harder from here. You're tied now with Southern Miss. You do own the tiebreaker, but at the same time, it kind of takes away a little room for error in terms of that conference race to try and get to the championship game. But other than that, you look at the game itself, it really was out of hand from the very beginning. 24-0 early on. It was 41-7 at halftime. Now, there were a couple turnovers right at the beginning. Mason Fine threw a couple of interceptions in that first quarter, kind of set the tone of how really the FAU defense was going to control things. But for you guys, which was really the biggest issue? Was it the offense or was it the defense?
I mean, there's no doubt it's the defense for me. I mean, the defense struggled early on in the game and continued to struggle into the second half until FAU pretty much took their foot off the pedal in the fourth quarter. They could have kept scoring. I mean, let's be honest. There was lots of highlight reels going around on Facebook of just the running backs just breaking and shedding off tacklers. I mean, what was there, like 10 broken tackles on that one play? I mean, I don't know a time I've seen Keyshawn McClain just completely arm tackle and get run over. I mean, that guy is a leader, an incredible playmaker, but last weekend, where was he?
Yeah.
I mean, he looked bad. I talked to, Jordan Wheeler said at the press conference, I mean, he basically reiterated what Seth Luttrell said, about confidence and cocky, but he also said the coaches had a great game plan for him. They had a great week of preparation. They just did not listen to what their coaches said. They totally went off script. They got in there. They thought they could just win the game, and that's just not what
exactly
happened.
the opposite of what happened.
Yeah, exactly. And you've got to come focused. The defense has to make a statement. Yes, Mason Fine should not have turned over the ball. Yes, the offense was struggling, but you've got to expect a defender, an open field, open tackle, just to be able to make a wrap up and make a tackle. When you got 2 or 3 guys just completely whiffing on a running back, that's all defense, and that cannot happen again. That's not coaching. That's players.
A lot of negatives, but there was a positive last week.
What was it?
I want to hear it.
Please tell me what it was, because I don't see anything.
I didn't see it.
The offense was bad. We know that. Not good. 3 turnovers. Defense, 804 yards. Trevor Moore, though.
Here we go again.
4 for 4 on extra points. 1 for 1 with a field goal. He's now got 126 consecutive PATs. Instead of hashtag New Denton, it should be hashtag Kicker University.
Josh, I don't know if that's a positive or a regular, though, because he does that every week.
That's
true.
true.
It's just like a regular commodity.
Really?
There wasn't any other positives.
But I'll tell you what, on top of the defense being so bad, obviously that was the story of the game. You gave 804 yards. What are you doing out there? But I'll tell you what, for me, the offense was what was disappointing. We knew that FAU they're a good offensive team. They're under Lane Kiffin. They know how to work that offense. So we knew the defense was going to struggle a little bit. They've been good, but they haven't been the best this year. But our offense is what has been the best this year. We came in a #1 in Conference USA in offense with Jalen Guyton, with Jeffrey Wilson, with Mason Fine, all in the top 3, if not #1. And here they are not producing. You know, like if you want to have a game against this, you have to expect that you're going to have to make it up for your defense when you're going against such another good offense in Conference USA. And they didn't show up at all, which is exactly why the score ended up being what the score was. And it could have been a lot worse, like Drake said.
Kendall Browse took out some revenge for maybe not getting the North Texas coaching job.
Very true. He was a candidate for that
I think
job.
There's one thing, though, to take away. I know I was being negative, as you said, Josh, and there's not a lot of positive. But there is one thing that's positive about this, and it's because what some of the players even said. It's that this happened earlier on. I mean, we're about midway through the season, so if a loss like this was going to happen, if you were just going to get smacked down like they did, and you're going to suffer a loss, and you're going to suffer any kind of a loss, it's better to get beat like this and to get beat on the road and to understand, like, you are not as good as you may think you are.
Well, and to top
it needs
that
to
off,
happen. So
exactly, and to top that off, our upcoming schedule is the lower level teams
Exactly.
in Conference USA. Do you know how slept on we could have? I mean, we could have just gone in there way overconfident and then maybe given Rice their first win of the season. You know, a UTEP win.
Exactly.
I would rather it happen with a good team versus FAU, so that they're up and ready to go going into those lower conference games, so they know they can go in there and get those wins.
And it doesn't hurt you in the division because you
No,
lose to an
exactly,
East team, so
exactly.
you don't lose any tiebreakers. You already had the game up on Southern Miss and UAB.
Yeah.
So it doesn't hurt you too bad. You still control your own destiny, which is a great thing for this team.
And whenever you look at those Conference USA standings right now, you have wins over the teams that are directly below you. It kind of opened things up with you take that one loss, but it's against really a team that's already established themselves up at the top of the conference. But you look over at the desk, it's of course Halloween week. We're going to have the blackout game tonight at Apogee Stadium. We've got a decorated desk and stuff. And Josh, I think you brought a special pumpkin for us today.
I was making pumpkins this week, carving them up.
Okay.
And I was like, what's the scariest thing in Denton this week? We're close to the football complex, so
Of course.
this might be a little frightening. We have an FAU pumpkin. Watch out. Don't go near it if you're North Texas.
We need to turn that one back
We'll turn it
around.
back
Yeah,
around.
let's keep it. Let's pretend that's not there. But it'll be a fun Halloween edition here of Mean Green Game Day. Coming up next, we're going to talk about really what's around the nation with a little trick or treat. But first, we're going to end up after that, we're going to do some Halloween costumes as well. And then as well as that, we're going to predict some of the nation's top matchups later on. Coming up next here on Mean Green Game Day.
Here's your check. Oh, you got it. You know, since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Okay. Got it. No.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early. You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Again, Josh?
What? It's game day.
Welcome back to Mean Green Game Day, just outside Gate 4 at Apogee Stadium, as we are set for another great week of college football. And guys, let's turn this over. It is Halloween week, so let's do some trick-or-treating. And it's the name of the game is I'm going to give you a statement. You're going to tell me, hey, trick, as in you buy into this statement, or treat, or actually, let's switch that around. Treat is the good one. Trick
Hey, we haven't been trick-or-treating in too
we haven't
long.
done that
It's
in
okay.
a long
It's
time.
been a
but
few years.
guys
Treat
didn't
is
go
the good
last
one. Trick is, of course, the bad one. Let's start off with the U down in Miami. The U is back for good. Tell me if that's real or not, Drake.
That's a trick, and if you say it's a treat, I mean, you're seriously mistaken. I mean, it might be a treat another year. I don't know. They're not bad. They are undefeated, but I mean, look at some of their wins. A 1-point victory over Georgia Tech. They beat up a pretty bad Florida State University team. We thought they were going to be good, but without their quarterback, they've really fallen off the map. And then they also beat Syracuse, which they barely beat Syracuse, and Syracuse did beat Clemson. But does anybody really consider Syracuse a great football team? Not me. So as far as Miami being back for good, maybe they're back, but they're not back for good. Currently, they're a pretty good team. They're in the top 10 for a reason. They're undefeated, but I don't know if they're back for good.
Yeah, I'll go trick on that one. I think it reminds me of Florida State from 2014, where they were getting by all these teams that weren't that great. The ACC was kind of down that year. I mean, Mark Richt is a great coach there, and he's been the perfect fit. He's getting recruits in. They've got the turnover chain on the sideline. They're starting to get some of that swagger back. but they're not there yet. It's close wins against Syracuse. They had another one today against North Carolina.
Yeah.
Trick on that one.
I'm going to go opposite. Now, this one was really hard. I agree. Like Drake said, could be trick, could be treat. I'll go treat just because they have they've been proving that they are a decent football team up to this point. You know, I think that it's really going to come down to they play Virginia Tech next week, then they play Notre Dame. Both of those are top 15 teams. That's really the only ranked opponents that they've played other than, you know. So, I mean, in the ACC, yeah, I think that they're a treat in the ACC. And if they have a chance to, I mean, if an ACC team made it to the playoffs, they would probably be the one to go to. But, you know, I mean, I'm going to go treat overall just because they have shown to be a good team.
I don't know about that. Clemson's pretty good. I mean, they lost against Syracuse. Clemson's going to make the playoff, though.
Yeah, and looking at the ACC as a whole, it kind of seems a little bit more wide open here, of course, except for really the Clemson up at the top. But now looking at the Big Ten, they've kind of seen a little bit of a change of power there, too, with Penn State coming out. Ohio State, of course, they're still pretty good up there as well. But one team that's really kind of taken a step back this year is Michigan. Last year, it seemed like all we could talk about was Jim Harbaugh and what he was able to bring back to Ann Arbor. This statement, Jim Harbaugh will be at Michigan in 3 years. Tell me if that's a trick or a treat.
I mean, I think it's a treat just because of how much they went in on this guy. I mean, they put everything into the university, like everything for the university, into Jim Harbaugh. And it's not just like football as a sport. It's like everyone. I mean, the dude brought in Derek Jeter. He brought in Tom Brady. He's like, you know, this god for Michigan. He may not be winning now. I don't know if he ever will win. I'm hoping he does. He did some great things at Stanford. He turned that program around. And this program was doing pretty good under him. I mean, they were winning some football games. You know, losing rivalry games to teams like Michigan State, that's hard to go off of. If he beats Ohio State this year, which he might, that'll be a big upset. And everybody will go, oh my gosh, Jim Harbaugh's a legend again. He'll be back coach for 20 years. Yeah. So, I mean, Jim Harbaugh, no, he's a treat. This is not a trick.
Yeah, this is the easiest one on here, treat. It's ridiculous, all the criticism he gets. He lost 10 defensive starters from last year. The recruiting's getting better. The branding's better. It's better than where their athletic program was at 5 years ago. It's just crazy to me that people want to kick this guy out. They should have beat Ohio State last year on that controversial fourth down play. I mean, it's just crazy that people criticize him so much for not beating Ohio State. Ohio State's been pretty good the past 2 years. This is a ridiculous treat. He'll be there. They should appreciate him because who else are you going to get? This guy made Stanford a good football program. Look at the 49ers once they left. The 49ers are god-awful now, and it's because Jim Harbaugh's not there. This is a treat. You should keep him. If you don't, he can come to North Texas. We'll take him.
I've got an iffy treat on this one, kind of like a mystery-flavored dum-dum. You could think you're getting like a great strawberry one, and then it turns out to be some crappy cotton candy one. Anyway, that was on my notes, by the way. I want to put that in there. But I think that if he, like they said, he is a good coach. They love him over at Michigan. You know, I think that he still is a treat. But I do think that, I mean, 3 years is a long time. You know, we saw Charlie Strong last 3 years. You know, Kevin Sumlin has been doing his same thing for the past 3 years where it's kind of iffy. You know, if he's going to make sure that he stays, he's going to have to win those big games. He's going to win the smaller games. There's no doubt he's a great coach. Michigan's a great program. But if he wants to make sure that he has job security, it's going to take beating Michigan State. It's going to take beating Ohio State. And he hasn't done that as well in the past. If he really wants that job security, that's what it's going to take. I still think he's a treat. I still think they love him too much. But, you know, it could go either way.
And you look at the landscape of college football as a whole now, you see Power 5 teams dominating the college football playoff, going in and taking those 4 spots. But I do want to talk about the potential of a group of 5 team making the college football playoff. It might not happen this year. Most likely it won't happen this year. But in the next 10 years, tell me a college football group of 5 school will make the playoff.
Yeah, treat. I mean, why not? You got teams all the time going undefeated, showing themselves to be real standout teams. Boise State did it years ago. TCU did it before they got into the Big 12. And there's schools that run the table all the time, and they win their bowl games, too. You put them in a big bowl game, they win. I don't see why not, why they wouldn't make the college football playoff, especially in a down year when you have a bunch of teams who have 2 losses like we've had. Like last year, you know, there was like Ohio State, a lot of people felt like they shouldn't have made it. They did make it. You know, Penn State felt like they should have made it. When you have drama like that going on, it may be easier to just put an undefeated group of 5 team in there. So absolutely, in the next 10 years, no doubt.
Check. There's 2 different types of football. There's the Power 6, the big boys. That's the real college football. Then there's this group of 5. You look at the product, they're not the same on the field. If they want to split it into divisions, they should. I don't see a group of 5 team making it. It's just the level of competition. You're not seeing that every week you're playing the big boy team. You're not having that hard schedule. You're playing teams like Old Dominion every week. It's just a different type of football. I don't think they'll make the playoffs. I mean, if we expand the playoffs, which they shouldn't do, Maybe they will, but that's a different story.
You might say that, but Boise State was a really good team.
They were good.
And they've won against Oklahoma in the Fiesta Bowl.
But
TCU,
that's one game.
They got into the Big 12. They were a
But
really good
they're
team. They
playing
won the
it
Rose
for
Bowl.
one game. They're not playing it over a 12-game span.
I don't know. I disagree.
I'm gonna go with Drake on this one and say treat if we're talking about in the next 10 years. Now, if we were talking about this year, I would say trick.
Absolutely.
Because I mean, UCF or USF are the two teams that would most likely
Charlie
be able
Strong's
to do
going to
that.
make the playoff.
But they're not going to do it this year. But if we're talking in the next 10 teams, next 10 years, I don't like to cross out possibilities like that, because I think that there are those programs like Drake keeps saying, Boise State, TCU, that they have this phenomenal year, and then you'll see those Power 5 conferences that sometimes it's just there's no one that sticks out. So there might be a unicorn year one year that actually happens, and I don't think that it's completely impossible. But as for this year, it's not going to happen.
Okay, so we've got 1 minute remaining here in this trick or treat segment. So really quickly, buy or sell or trick or treat, North Texas will be in the Conference USA Championship game this year. Oh man,
I just had to melt that. I'll go with a treat simply because I do have Mean Green in my blood, and I'm
Okay.
going to have to be biased. I think that there's a chance for it, so if there's a chance, I'm hoping for it. They make them a conference championship.
Trick.
Of course.
Don't see it happening. Not going to happen.
Goodness
I
gracious.
feel like we just stumble. Immature team right now. If they can mature, maybe, but trick right now.
I'm going treat right now. Like I said, we're going into that easier part of our conference schedule. Our big one's going to be La Tech. If we get that La Tech victory, I say it's happening.
It could very well happen. They sit up atop the Conference USA standings right now. So after we're done trick or treating, we're going to actually put on our costumes, doing it a little reverse style here this Halloween edition of Mean Green Game Day. We'll put on our costumes here in just a second. Coming up on the other side of the break here on Mean Green Game Day.
Every year, 40% of all food in the U.S. never gets eaten.
40%. That's almost half the food we produce.
Food waste is a serious problem. It impacts all of us.
And it's expensive. Your family is throwing $1,500 a year in the trash.
We're working hard to put food waste on the chopping block.
And you can do the same at home.
Learn how to cook it, store it, and share it.
Just don't waste it.
Go to SaveTheFood.com.
Here we go. We're gonna go out there in the rain. Gonna get wet. All right, here we go. Okay, quick. Oh yeah, yes. So much fun. Mwah. We're getting so wet.
How's your hair? Is it pretty?
Daddy.
It's pretty.
Maybe I'll say
So there you are, shuffling through a stack of resumes and you come to mine. This is it, first impression, my way in. But can my resume show you how I truly stand out? Like that I was studying, going to night school while working 2 jobs just to help my parents pay for groceries. Or being the first one to always step up. No, that's something you just can't put on paper. Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent that is dedicated, hardworking, and determined like me.
Welcome back to Mean Green Game Day as the Old Dominion Monarchs invade Apogee Stadium to take on the North Texas Mean Green in just a little bit. But first, it is almost Halloween, a couple days away, it being on Tuesday. This is as close as we're going to get. So let's put on some of these costumes, guys, and answer some of these questions around the nation of college football. First off, let's welcome in a couple special guests, the Big 12, the Pac-12, and the SEC. And first off, I'm going to ask you the question, why does your conference deserve to have a team in the college football playoff? Let's start with you, Mr. Big 12.
Why do we deserve to have a team in the conference football playoff? Well, the first big reason is that we have the best teams. We're constantly beating up each other. We got teams like Oklahoma. We got Oklahoma State. We have TCU, and we also have teams like Iowa State and West Virginia. All these teams are top 25 teams. We're having to play each other constantly. We might have to play each other more than once if we make it to a championship at the end, because you guys make us have a championship. We have tough teams. We've got good teams. We've got history of great teams. And when Oklahoma made it, they actually didn't disappoint. They didn't look as bad as Florida State that one year against Oregon, or Oregon in the championship. So give us a chance. Throw us in there. Yeah, we don't play defense, but we'll score a lot of points and we'll get more ratings. So there you go.
Pac-12, brah. We don't kick off this early, so I'm not used to starting up. Pac-12 after dark. Who doesn't want to see Pac-12 after dark in the playoff? We have Stanford, Big 12. No, where's the beaches at? We have have you ever gone to the beach in a football game in the same day? Pac-12, brah. We surf. We have West Coast. Pac-12 after dark, dude. I don't even know what that stands for. We have better academics than you guys. Stanford.
Doesn't sound like it.
USC. Oregon has cool jerseys. Pac-12, bro.
Very strong point.
Tides up.
Alabama and Georgia. Do I need to say anything else other than that?
Not really. That's really all you need. You just got Bama and Georgia over in the SEC. Now, we're gonna switch off some of the guests here on the desk. Next question is to some of our Heisman Trophy candidates. Why should you win the Heisman Trophy? We have Baker Mayfield, Saquon Barkley, and Bryce Love from Stanford up here. Let's start with Mr. Penn State, Mr. Saquon Barkley.
97-yard kick return for a touchdown to open up against Ohio State today. I'm the best. I mean, I'm just dominating. We're number 2 in the land, and I'm the biggest reason why, and you guys don't even care to pay attention? Well, what's Penn State got to do? We got to just run the table, I guess. Well, guess what? We're going to. We're destroying Ohio State at Ohio State, which, yeah, Baker Mayfield can do. But guess what? We don't lose to Iowa State. We don't lose to any of these chump teams. We're going to go win a Big Ten championship. I'm going to be the MVP. I'm going to go all the way, win the Heisman, win the national championship, and put Penn State on my back. Penn State and Saquon Barkley, we're the best.
Who's your daddy, bro? Who's your daddy?
Iowa State, apparently, for you.
Ooh.
Just saying. Where are you at?
Shade.
Bro, Oklahoma, we're so good, man. I plant my flag right here, right there. The only person that can tackle me is the Fayetteville Police Department. Nobody else can even touch me, man. Big 12, I throw it, I run, I beat Texas. I don't even know what Penn State is. I went to Lake Travis, dude.
What's a Sooner? I know what a Nittany Lion is. What's a Sooner?
It's a good question.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I played at 2 colleges. Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy?
Weren't you in the Heisman final
I'm
before
the
and
daddy.
didn't win? I mean, that should
That's
be
fair.
like outlawed.
That's because
No,
I'm
no,
the
no, no, no.
Heisman's daddy.
Look at this face. You're going to be seeing this face all over the field. I may be 5'10", I may only be 196 pounds. Do not sleep on me. I have 135 carries for 1,387 yards. That means every time I get that ball in my hand, it is a first down. That's over 10 yards per carry every time I touch that ball. And did I mention I've gotten the rock in the end zone 11 times this season? We're not even halfway done. Go Trees, baby. It's all me.
That's the problem. No one stays awake for your games, though. So
Who's your daddy?
Everybody sees me.
I think the running backs probably took that one, but Josh was, or Baker, excuse me, was a little bit more
I don't care, bro. I went to Lake Travis, man.
That's true. You did go to Lake Travis just down the road in Austin. All right, let's switch things out. The players, your time is done. Now come the coaches, some of which who are on the hot seat. Tell me why you should keep your job. And Cliff Kingsbury from Texas Tech, you're going to start us off.
I score points. I score lots and lots of points. I don't play a lot of defense, but you know what? We score points at Lubbock, so I'm a good-looking guy. People come to the game because they want to see my face. Got a nice chin, and you know, I know my quarterback that I put up in the NFL hasn't played yet, but you know, he's sitting on a bench. I do pretty good. People get drafted from Tech still, so keep me around. I score points.
That's a great argument. It's a great argument. We're all champions here. We're champions of life. We played a great game against Tennessee last week. We scored, I think. We scored a point. We hang in there. We ran out of the tunnel successfully. We were the champions of life. I mean, we just play really well. I mean, yeah, I should probably be auditioning for ESPN instead of trying to get my job back, but champions of life. We'll be champions if we lose the rest of our games. We're the champions, man.
I should probably go on ESPN too. I got the face for it.
We could
honestly.
be a duo, man.
Yeah,
we
we
could.
could.
be a
Cliff
players only
Kingsbury and
broadcast.
the Butch Jones show. That'd be pretty good.
And why should I keep my job? I shouldn't.
Oh,
Nope,
that's
I
coming
shouldn't.
from
You know
someone
what?
throwing the towel.
I've produced 8 and 4 seasons for like the past 18,000 years, and if you want to win in the SEC, you've got to produce better than that, and I can't do it. And A&M, Kyle Field, 12th man, has the best fans in the world, but I can't do it. I can't produce. So just go ahead and fire me. I'll smile and always say gig 'em.
I score points.
We're champions of life.
Okay.
I shouldn't have a job.
All right. Let's put the mask down here for a little bit, and let's have an actual conversation about this. First off, I probably shouldn't have given the head coach for Texas A&M to a Texas Longhorn fan on the end of the table.
It's on the rundown.
That's
I was
okay.
wondering.
I know. I'm sorry. I probably should have done something else other than that. But out of the 3 masks that you guys were able to do, what was really the one that you were sold on the most? Which of the 3, I guess, questions that you answered are you most sold on why or why not that person or should be, I guess, taken to that level?
Can I say none?
Yeah,
I
you can.
I don't agree with any of mine.
Exactly.
Definitely
I
can.
think we can all agree. Barkley right now is 28-10.
Yeah.
Penn State's like just beating up on him. This guy is an athlete, man. I mean, Penn State is so slept on, and I don't know how. They're ranked number 2 in the nation. This guy's been just running around dominating every opponent. Every time you think, oh, they might get upset, they don't, and they blow them out. Penn State is a great football team, and I don't understand why we're not talking about this guy more.
But can you be slept on if you're the number 2 team in the country?
That's what I would
think
say.
But you can. Who's talking about them?
Everybody. They're
Everyone.
number
They're
2 in the
number
country.
two.
Bryce Love is slept on. Bryce Love
They were
has
talking
almost,
about Clemson. Everybody's been talking about Georgia.
Who's talking about
No one's talking about Clemson after they got
weren't
beat
talking
by
about number
Syracuse.
two.
All right.
All
right.
It took Penn State how many weeks
Slow
to
it
get
down.
number 2?
They're number 2 right now.
Yes, finally. And then
Which
what
is
do they
when
do?
only when it
Everybody
matters.
on College Game Day's desk pick Ohio State to win. And what does Penn State do? They go out there and they dominate Ohio State.
Not yet.
It's 28-10.
Comebacks are possible.
Okay.
Okay, Bryce Love, you look it up, he has twice as many rushing yards.
And he plays
as
for
Saquon
Stanford.
Barkley.
And
Exactly,
they
that's
lost.
what I'm saying.
It's about the
Slept
best
on.
team. It's about the best team, being the best player on the best team.
Pac-12 after dark. Nobody watches him. The
Yeah.
guy is amazing. The guy's stats are better. The guy runs. I think Saquon Barkley's really good. Last week against Michigan was really impressive.
97-yard kick return to open up the game isn't
They've got
impressive.
respect. They're number 2.
No, I'm going the same thing. If you want to talk about the one that I chose that, had the biggest thing, I think Bryce Love. I really do. I think that's the thing. I mean, Penn State obviously is an all-around good football team. Barkley is an unbelievable player. Don't get me wrong. But Bryce Love is over here putting up these numbers that are just unbelievable. Like I said, he will get you a first down. It is proven true that he has over 10 yards per carry with every touch he's had. If that doesn't scream Heisman, I don't know what does. And like I said, I know Barkley's a good player, but I think if we're talking about slept on, I think Bryce Love really, really deserves it because he doesn't have the talent to work with near as much as they do in Penn State. That's why they're number 2 as a football team, and that's why Bryce Love is sticking out so much as an individual.
Who knew that tailbacks from Penn State and Stanford could get some Mean Green Game Day analysts so riled up? But whatever it may be, whatever we had for lunch this morning, it's got us heated, and we're ready to talk some North Texas football coming up in a little bit. But first, if you haven't seen it already, there's a 30 by 60 foot gigantic Texas flag flying out there. We'll tell you more about that coming up on the other side of the break here on Mean Green Game Day.
It's a short ride from your neighborhood to your naturehood. To find a neighborhood park or green space near you, visit discovertheforest.org.
On week 4 of the college football season, North Texas and the athletic department decided, hey, let's put up a gigantic 60 by 30 foot flag that towers over both the intersections of I-35 West and I-35 East here in Denton, Texas. It's a massive 90-foot flagpole that is one of the more intimidating structures in all of the city, but at the same time, there's a lot of story behind that flag and that piece of cloth. Let's go to one of our reporters, Maddie Sleeth, who has more on the North Texas battle flag.
Game days here at North Texas have many traditions, but one fan saw that something was missing.
A fan emailed our athletic director, Ren Baker, and said, I think it'd be great if you guys put up a 90-foot flagpole showcasing North Texas pride right there at the convergence of I-35E and 35W.
The athletic department listened, and this season, the Mean Green unveiled their new 60 by 30 foot battle flag that fans took part in choosing.
We didn't know what flag we needed to fly outside of Apogee Stadium, and so we did a fan vote around a little over 70% voted for the battle flag.
This flag has been a well-known symbol around UNT and is a new tradition still in the making.
It gives you that feeling that maybe you should raise it. You know, every time for a game day it becomes a traditional aspect. But I think for this season, I think we're going to raise it on Saturday and leave it up and let it fly high, and then see where we are. And maybe in the future it could be something that goes up and down on game day.
This new tradition is something they hope will bring pride to the Mean Green family on game days.
Players are excited, our fans are excited. It's something that we can rally behind and really take a lot of pride in. When our flag is flying high, hopefully we're playing great.
You know, guys, as this flag does fly over Apogee Stadium in both I-35 East and I-35 West, it kind of serves as a little bit of a symbol of change that is hoping that is to come to this new Denton aspect, this new Denton mindset of a football program as an athletic department as a whole. What does that mean to you guys, hearing that new Denton and seeing really it start to kind of transfer over into what's being shown on the gridiron?
Well, I think it'd mean a lot more if we could not lose to Florida Atlantic like last
They
week.
should have done it like they should have taken it down for maybe put it back up today.
Yeah, but I mean, I was feeling good after that UTSA win, and I was feeling really good up until that point. So, I mean, as long as we keep winning games, fans will show up. Yeah. As long as we keep staying atop the conference like we are right now, I mean, like Latrell said, you can't just throw away a season from one bad game. So, I mean, we keep doing the things that we were doing earlier on in the year. If we continue winning games at home, if we continue to show fans why they should show up to games and wear mean green on Fridays, well then, you know, I think you can see the culture change. Latrell's doing a great job. The coaches are doing a great job. The players are, up until last week, they were playing amazing all the way until the last second. And I think that's the big thing, is just having that kind of attitude, winning games. That's what'll get people to show up. That'll change the culture.
I think it's time the fans start repaying this program. They put in a lot of work on the field. They put in a lot of work off the field with the game experience, fireworks before the games, the battle flag, everything to make it feel like a bigger game, make the atmosphere better. The fans they need to respond to this. This team is so good. It has so much potential. We could go to a Conference USA title game. For the UTSA game, it was not as full as it should have been, and that is on the fans. It's a beautiful day outside. Where is everybody? Well, I mean, 4 hours before the game, this place should be packed with tailgaters. The coaching staff, the athletic department have done enough. The fans have got to show up for this team. I mean, it's ridiculous that right now we're sitting out here an hour before the game and it's not packed.
You keep winning games like they did against UTSA. You make dramatic comebacks
it's
like
fair.
that.
Yeah.
You show fans why you should not walk out in the final minute of the game.
Yeah.
People are going to show up. So do that again today. Stomp them to the ground, and you'll show people why they should come out.
Exactly, and I think that the biggest thing about this whole new Denton is obviously when Seth Latrell and Renbaker came in last year, they started that, and we were hoping that it was going to turn into something that resembled new Denton. And I think that at the end of last year, making it to the bowl game, whether it was by APR or not, they made it. They played a very, very good game against Army. Then we're coming in this year, and we see that there is a difference. Like Josh said, the football team, the whole athletic department is so bought into this idea of new Denton. We've got the battle flags. We've got so many promotional items going on. I mean, even the concession stands bumped up because they wanted to make this new Denton, you know? And I think that, like Josh says, we need the fans out here. We need people coming out to support, and the people who have been here, they know. So now we just need to spread it word by mouth, and really, I think it is. It's a good shift.
Now, as a show, Mean Green Game Day, we've been out here for now 2 seasons, or I guess 1.5, working on this second season here. But at the same time, I feel like last year there was a little bit more buzz in the atmosphere, at least tailgating wise, at least student wise, that it's not necessarily transferred over to this year. What is the reason behind that? Because like you guys said, the athletic department is doing these different things, these new things that are supposed to appeal to a group and to a target audience like that. Why have they not responded as well?
I mean, I think we had quite a few fans there for UTSA.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I'm wrong, but I saw a lot of people there. I saw a lot of people at the game against UAB, especially like when we had all the events that we were doing when we hung the flag.
Yeah.
There was quite a bit of people who showed up. I mean, the Lamar game, first game of the year, maybe not as much there. We're going against a team that doesn't bring in as much attention as Lamar
Understandable.
did. But, you know, UTSA, we had a pretty good amount of fans there. I think moving forward, we'll keep getting more. It's all about just winning games, though, and changing a culture. I don't know necessarily if I agree with the fact that it's not buzzing as much. Maybe today it's not, but once again, Old Dominion's not a team that's going to bring in a lot of fans. Yeah. It's going to be cold tonight. We got to remember right now it feels great, but when the sun goes down, it's going to be 40 degrees.
Weather, that is my number one.
Weather's big.
When we had a game 2 weeks ago when it was home, it's the first week of October. You're thinking, oh yeah, here's this fall weather. It was like 800 degrees sitting up here on the desk. We were drenched in sweat, and every single game day, that's what it's been. And then today you get here, and I had to put 8 beanies in my bag this morning. You know, that's unfortunate. That's something that you can't handle. But I think the biggest thing, like you said, we have to spread the word. As students, you have to be going, hey, you go into the game this weekend, because the athletic department has done their job. It's all about spreading that word and being able to come out here.
Yeah. Any final thoughts, Josh?
I think we need to make the tailgates a little bigger and just get people out here early.
Yeah, definitely. So hopefully North Texas will see a shift in that culture over the next couple of weeks, but they're going to have to start on the field tonight. We'll break down the North Texas and Old Dominion matchup coming up on the other side of the break here on Mean Green Game Day.
I'll be right back. Hi. You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home, just in case. If you're probably sober, then why would you do that? Good choice.
Probably okay isn't okay. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
That's a full glass of wine. I'll be chatting you later.
Again, Josh?
What? It's game day.
For the first time in both North Texas and Old Dominion program history, they will meet and play a Conference USA matchup, and it'll start in just over 80 minutes here at Apogee Stadium. I'm Kyle Yeomans, joined by Drake Lawson, Josh Conrad, Ashley Pickle, as we reintroduce the Mean Green Game Day crew. And guys, let's break down this matchup as Old Dominion coming in. This is a program that, a fun fact for you, started in 1930, was discontinued in 1941, was reborn in 2008. Their original name, I thought this was interesting, William and Mary Norfolk Division Braves. That was a name for a football program.
How do you put that on your chest?
I have no idea, but I thought I just might as well put that out there.
Our old names, though. What were we,
That's
like
fair.
North Texas Teacher State University?
We've had a couple doozies ourselves, but at the same time, this is an Old Dominion team that's coming in a little hungry. They've yet to win a Conference USA matchup. They're 2-5 overall, and last week they actually had a pretty good game against a Western Kentucky squad that's run the conference over the past couple of years, but they ended up dropping that game by 4 against Western Kentucky. Head coach Bobby Wilder bringing in the Monarchs. What is something that you're looking forward to, Drake, from this Old Dominion squad and what they're going to bring to the table?
You're going to see a desperate team. You're going to see a very desperate team. I mean, they won their first 2 games. They played well against Western Kentucky. It's not the same Western Kentucky team that's been of old, but it's still a good team. They're going to come in with just a need, a want to get that first victory since their first 2 games of year, first conference victory. So we're going to see a desperate team. I know that for sure.
And it's a team that's been ravaged by injuries all year. They lost Ray Lowry early in the season. They lost one of their star wide receivers, Jonathan Duhart. They lost their right tackle, Chad Hendricks. It's just a team early on in the year. All the injuries were adding up, and they just kept playing these tough teams. Had to play North Carolina, had to play Virginia Tech. So that really took a toll on this team. They start a 17-year-old quarterback, Stephen Williams. That dude is 17.
He's your age, right, Josh?
He's my age. He's the second youngest NCAA Division I quarterback since David Walker of Texas A&M in 1973. He's kind of gotten better. This team's terrible on defense. They're 12th in Conference USA. They've given up 34.7 points per game, but they can run the football. Lowry is an amazing running back. This team won 10 games off his back last year. And so this is a team where we really struggled last week against Singletary and FAU running the ball. We got to hamper down on our run defense.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing for Old Dominion is, like we said, they started off the year good. They've suffered some injuries. It's gone a little bit downhill since then. I feel like they're coming into this matchup thinking, this is someone we could potentially beat. And not only would they come in with that mindset, if they did beat us, that would be huge. We're number 1 in Conference USA West. That would be huge for them. So I would say, kind of like what Drake said, watch for them to be really hungry in this game. Coming in ready to make a difference, turn their season around type of mentality. And that's something that, like I said, this is technically our easier half of the Conference USA season, but these are the games that are going to get us in trouble more than those really heavy rivalry matchups against the good teams. So they need to come in here, like they said, confident, not cocky, but ready to go.
And Josh, you mentioned just very briefly how poor the defense has been for Old Dominion throughout the season. They do have 19 sacks, though, off of that defensive line. Now, at the same time, they haven't been able to force any turnovers. They're -7 in the turnover margin department. But At the same time, do you think this Old Dominion team could potentially put pressure on an offensive line that North Texas really had struggling last week against FAU?
I mean, last week anybody could have the wind put pressure on an offensive line last
fair.
week. I don't think this offense, I mean, you see this defense is pretty bad. Well, FAU is a pretty bad defense too. SMU is not a great defense, and we struggled at times. For our offense right now, it's just consistency. We have these games where we have good things in spurts, but we don't keep it going. I said it earlier in the show, it's that hurry-up offense. But if this is a close game, did you guys know that Old Dominion has the highest winning percentage of any FBS program in one-score games? They're above Alabama.
Wow, that's actually pretty
impressive. We keep
impressive.
this a one-score game, that's scary.
Yeah. We got to establish the run is my biggest thing. So if you're going to have pass protection, or if you're going to help out your offensive line, what's the easiest thing for our offensive line to do? Run forward and just block. You know, and if you're going to rush passers, then run by Jeffrey Wilson as he's running to the end zone. Establish that great running game that we had for so many weeks when Jeffrey Wilson was just running through teams. I mean, he was the top of the conference, the top of all of college football as far as rushing yards and touchdowns went. So what happened to that? You can't go away from it. We've got to establish a run. We've got to run the ball to help out our offensive line.
And exactly, and the biggest thing is that, I mean, we could rewind the tape from last week's episode. I've said it every single episode. If Jeffrey Wilson comes ready to play, if that run game is on point, we will win games. We will 100% win games. When has he not performed? FAU, SMU, he gets shut down to those small numbers. We don't win the games. But when
Iowa's
he's ready
second
to
half.
go.
First half against Iowa, he was running rampant
like
through
Very
that
true.
defense.
Very
and
true.
when you've got a defensive line that, I mean, has caused 19 sacks, and you've got a small quarterback like Mason Fine who is sometimes injury prone, you have to, I agree, I think running the ball, getting that defensive line to push back, not leaving Mason Fine open for an injury in a game that isn't even our most important game of this season, that's something that they have to do.
And you look at this North Texas team and coming off of the loss where they did struggle to run the ball. Also, Jeffrey Wilson hasn't rushed for 100 yards, or actually 100 yards total for the past 2 weeks. So what has happened to Jeffrey Wilson? And he was held to 49 yards total against FAU, maybe because we abandoned the run pretty early on, but what has happened to Jeffrey Wilson over these past 2 weeks?
I think the big thing with FAU, and I go back to the defense, we had to abandon the run. You can't abandon the run, though. That's what has happened. We saw it with Iowa, too. In the second half, they seem to go away from the run. And when you go away from the run, Fine starts throwing interceptions. Fine starts getting sacked. Fine gets hurt, even. You can't go away from it. You got to stick with it. And I know that's something Luttrell wants to do. Sometimes he feels like he can't. That's something Harrell and Luttrell need to get on the same page about and realize, get this guy the ball because he's your playmaker. He's your dude. He's number 3. He's your MVP. He's your senior. Get him the ball. Feed him the ball. He's a monster. And that's where the keys to victory will come. I mean, Ashley's got it completely right. When we win football games, we're running the ball. So the biggest thing is feed him the ball, and he's going to get yards.
You just can't really give a guy carries when you're down 41-7.
That's the problem.
That's fair.
Absolutely.
And that's why in games where we haven't really been there, it's because we've been down by so much. We kind of force. I think you do need to play it calmer first. When things start to go bad, don't just try to pass to get into it. Because that's where we see those 3 and outs and they really start to buy us. But guys, I have my fun fact for the game.
Okay.
This is going to blow your mind. I wasn't here for UTSA, so I don't know if you guys had any knowledge. Don't cheat. Old Dominion has a pitcher in the World Series. Can anyone name what pitcher went to Old Dominion? Baseball.
Yu Darvish.
It was not.
No.
I don't know. I have no idea.
I know it, but I'm going to let you go.
It's Justin Verlander.
Really?
Went to Old Dominion, Conference USA alum, Mr. Justin
Good for
Verlander.
them.
Had a pretty good game in
That
game
might
2.
factor into the game a little bit. Maybe they'll be distracted watching the World Series.
Yep.
Pitching a day.
It's a key to the game.
Maybe.
Before we get too far into that fun fact, going back to that, like what we were talking about earlier, I will say you had a deceiving fact there because you said that he hasn't had over 100 yards in the last 2 games. I'll tell you why.
Fair.
Deceiving fact. Jalen Guyton went off in that UTSA game. Man, if Fine and Guyton are connecting it from 50 yards deep, let them do that. I understand, like I said, obviously I think our run game is our absolute strongest, but if you see number 9 in the end zone and you don't throw him the ball when he's wide open, don't give Jeffrey the ball. Please throw it to Guyton. So
Definitely
that's part of the reason why maybe that stat wasn't so high. As of last week, you're right, they ditched it. They ditched the running game, which they should have held. But for that UTSA game, I'm okay with him not necessarily having over 100 yards rushing.
That's exactly the reason why it's been a 3-headed monster for this North Texas offense. Mason Fine, Jeffrey Wilson, and Jalen Guyton. Jeffrey
Trevor
Wilson.
Moore.
Hey, Trevor Moore. We'll throw him in there as well. It's
Senior
Halloween.
University,
We can
baby.
throw some monsters on there as well. So when we come back, we'll have one of the more fun segments of the afternoon, the prediction segment with our special guest, Kara Bullock, on set, and we will be joined by her in just a little bit on the other side of the break here on Mean Green Game Day.
Here we go. We're gonna go out there in the rain. You're gonna get wet. All right, here we go. Okay, quick. Oh yeah, yes. So much fun. Mwah. We're getting so wet.
They'll test you. Try to break your will. But however loud the loudness gets, however many cheese puffs may fly, you're the driver, the one in control. Stand firm. Just wait. And move only when you hear the click that says they're buckled in for the drive. Never give up till they buckle up.
So there you are, shuffling through a stack of resumes and you come to mine. This is it, first impression, my way in. But can my resume show you how I truly stand out? Like that I was studying, going to night school while working 2 jobs just to help my parents pay for groceries. Or being the first one to always step up. No, that's something you just can't put on paper. Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent that is dedicated, hardworking, and determined like me.
Dominion and North Texas just around the corner here on Mean Green Game Day. We are now joined by a very special guest, not only because she works with meanggreensports.com and also does the Mean Green Minute, but also because she's the first NTTV alum to be a special guest here on Mean Green Game Day.
Sorry, Travis.
Sorry, Travis Buckner, but Kara Bullock, welcome to the welcome to the set and to the desk, and tell us a little bit about what you've been doing and how you've been keeping busy with meanggreensports.com.
Well, since graduating in 2016, I got hired on doing some Mean Green sports reporting and just keeping up with the teams and doing that wrap up at the end of the week for everyone to catch up on everything for the action over the weekend. So
and all of that's on meanggreensports.com?
All of that is on meanggreensports.com, and you can find it on Twitter, Instagram sometimes, but mostly meanggreensports.com. Yes.
All right, sounds good. So you're joining us, and it was kind of last minute, but we're going to get you up here to pick some of the nation's top games of the afternoon. UAB at Southern Miss. Let's start with a Conference USA matchup. I have Southern Miss and the Golden Eagles winning it. Unfortunately, even though North Texas could kind of use a loss from the Golden Eagles, but Drake, who you got?
I mean, I think UNT went on the road, beat Southern Miss. Why can't UAB? Why not UAB? That's been the story of this season. Why not UAB? I mean, they are an incredible story. I'm rooting for them. I hope they can pull it off. I don't know if they can, but why not UAB?
I'm going with UAB because, for one, UAB almost beat us at home.
Absolutely.
2, we mopped the floor with Southern Miss in the second half.
At
and
Southern
3,
Miss.
after that Twitter fiasco this week, please.
No kidding.
I'm
the
going with
graphics.
UAB. I'm
That's
going
true.
with UAB.
That's true.
I wanted to pick Southern. I'm going to pick Southern Miss still. I think they're better. They're at home. UAB has been a nice story. Elderly's been really good throwing the football. They have a good deep game. They've been winning games, but Southern Miss has been really tough. They almost beat Kentucky to start the year. Their only really bad game was when they played us. I think they're a focused team right now. Southern Miss gets a win.
See, I'm going UAB, and it's not because I think with my football knowledge that UAB is like the better team or that they're going to win. I'm going out of hope for North Texas that UAB wins, because it's just like Kyle said. If they come out here and they win, that puts, first off, that'll tie all of us at a 5-3 overall record, which is great to have the same record as everyone has. Then you go with the places. That would also put us in first place by a whole game, which is something that I think is very what we need. So I'm really, really hoping that if we win tonight and UAB wins.
Is that a little foreshadowing for a later pick, saying that we will be in first place by a whole game? I mean
I don't know.
Just want to throw that out there. We've got a couple picks in between that one, Pickle. But other than that, let's move to the SEC. Mississippi State down the road at Texas A&M in Kyle Field and College Station. I have Mississippi State and the Bulldogs. That Fitzgerald quarterback, he can throw the ball. I think he's going to pull one out on Coach Sumlin.
Yeah, I think Sumlin needs it. I think they absolutely do. So hang on, I got something. Let me find it. Oh, I'm going Gig 'em. I'm
Wow.
going to go Gig 'em. I'm going to give the Aggies. Someone needs this. He needs it, okay? This guy's a desperate game. They played Bama pretty well at home. They're at home. I think they pull it off. I mean, if the guy doesn't, it's not November yet, so I don't see why he shouldn't.
That's fair.
Because November is when he usually falls apart. So let's hope he pulls it out, and let's go with A&M.
That made my stomach hurt.
I think they're both pretty evenly matched, though. But I'm going to go with the Aggies, too, because, first of all, Kyle Field is one of the hardest places to play in college football. And even if the Aggies are playing bad. I still think it's a hard place to go, so I'm going with the Aggies.
It's not that hard to go.
Okay.
Teams win there
Because
like
you
every
played
game.
there. Because you played before.
On NCAA
okay.
football. But anyway,
Yeah, that counts.
Mississippi State won last week 45-7 over Kentucky. This has been such an up and down team. It's almost November, so like Drake said, the collapse is close. I think Mississippi State goes in and wins a tight game. I think, Kellen Mond's playing pretty well for A&M. They have Starkle too. I think they're both good quarterbacks, but they're young quarterbacks. Young quarterbacks will make mistakes in big time games. This isn't a big time game, but it's a night game. I think Mississippi State wins close.
And I think I found something on this end of the table, and we're going to go just like this on
Oh,
this one. I'm
man.
going Mississippi State. I think that, yes, Kyle Field can be a difficult place to play in, but teams have come in all year and they beat them there. I don't think it's that intense. Nick Fitzgerald, I mean, he's a solid quarterback. They've got a really good running back in Eris Williams. Like, I think they're going to come in there, and it'll be a close game, don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
but I'm
from the
feeling that
Longhorns.
Mississippi State's going to pull out the win on this one.
From the Longhorns.
Yeah, it's from the
over
Longhorn.
here.
Don't worry
Bias.
They beat Baylor already.
Yeah, like Josh
They beat
Gonzalez.
Baylor, okay?
I don't want to hear that, Drake. I don't want to hear it at all.
Yeah.
Texas A&M, maybe they'll pull one out of the hat, just how Drake pulled it out of his jacket. But I had to put that pun in there a little bit. Staying in the SEC, though, Tennessee and Butch Jones on the road at Kentucky, looking and needing a win for the Volunteers. Who pulls that game out? I have the Volunteers winning a tight one at Kentucky and taking down the Wildcats.
This is where Butch Jones' road ends. While someone may save his
Wow.
job today, Tennessee is going to lock up the fact that they will have a new head coach starting next year. Kentucky's going to win this game. They're at home. Kentucky. It's going to be a close game, but I think Kentucky's the better team, and it's time for Tennessee to just move on.
Yeah.
Somehow me and Drake are agreeing this whole time because, I mean, Tennessee definitely needs a win, but they have not produced on offense, barely. I mean, I think they've had one rushing TD in the last 14 quarters.
Yeah.
You just can't do that. And Kentucky, you kind of think that they're a little, but I'm going with Kentucky this game. They're going to make a statement tonight.
I think you guys are sharing notes over there.
I don't know.
I'm looking off Kyle's notes, so I've got Tennessee winning this game.
There you go.
I think Kentucky, like I said, they got shellacked last week by Mississippi State. It's going to be a down team. They've been a decent team this year, beat Southern Miss. All these teams have played each other on our picks. Never mind. But Tennessee, I think, wins this game. Butch Jones, they're desperate. He still gets fired this year, but I think he survives one more week.
I'm actually going to go with Drake and Kara this time. We're not
Wow,
going to have the
switched
major
over.
disagreements here.
Interesting.
But no, it's on the road. Tennessee is 0-4 in conference. Kentucky's got this one.
Surprising Kentucky team this year, though. They're
Yes.
starting to turn things around in
Yeah, it's
Kentucky.
very
But
shocking.
now let's move to the Big Ten. Minnesota at Iowa. Iowa, of course, a team that North Texas almost took down earlier this year. They were leading at half, ended up squandering that in the second half. But I have the Hawkeyes taking one out against Minnesota. They're at home. That's a great place to play. We got to see it up close and personal, but at the same time, it's always tough to take out a win against the Hawkeyes.
You mentioned Iowa at home. Well, the very next week, they almost beat Penn State. If you're keeping up, Penn State's
Very
putting
true.
a pretty good whooping on Ohio State right now at Ohio State. So if Iowa almost beat Penn State, I mean, that speaks a lot to Iowa and the fact of them being at home, that awesome first quarter tradition they have. How can I pick against that and that team? The Hawkeyes come out with a victory at home.
Hey, we finally
Yeah.
agreed on one.
Yeah, we did
There
agree.
we go.
Are we going to
First
disagree,
time for
Kara?
everything.
No, we're not.
Oh, okay. There
I'm
you
going
go.
with Iowa for this game. I mean, the Gophers literally are on a 7-game losing streak in Iowa, so I don't think that's going to change tonight. So I'm going with Iowa.
Who cares? Go World Series. If you're watching TV and you're flipping through the channels and you're like, oh, Minnesota, Iowa, I should probably watch this. What are you doing with your Saturday night? Nobody should watch this game unless you went to Minnesota, went to Iowa. Iowa wins, but watch the World Series or something.
How am I supposed to follow that up? It's pretty true, if we're being honest. They're both 4-3. They're both 1-3 in conference play. It's nothing exciting. I mean, it's
Go watch
kind of
paint
one of those.
dry.
Or watch paint dry. But no, the Hawkeyes, like you said, obviously
Pump the
great
brakes.
atmosphere from them. We saw that when we went and played in Iowa. I think that they should pull that one out and get that second win. Maybe turn their conference season around a hair.
Man, football is football, Josh. I'm watching paint dry.
They're
Goodness
watching
gracious.
hockey in
That's a
Minnesota.
little
Well, you
bit
know what
much.
is going to be an exciting matchup, and it's the one that we're leading up to right here at Apogee Stadium. Old Dominion and North Texas, the first ever meeting between the two programs. North Texas coming off a big loss at FAU. On the other side, Old Dominion trying to rally after a close, tight-knit loss at Western Kentucky. I have the North Texas Mean Green pulling out the win. I've picked North Texas all year long. I think they're going to get back on track, move within one win of that second bowl game in a row. They'll end up staying atop the Conference USA standings. I have the Mean Green pulling one out.
Yeah, this should be a bounce-back game for the Mean Green. get some confidence back. It's not going to be a blowout because Old Dominion they want a victory. They want to win bad. It's desperate, but it's desperate for both teams because the Mean Green need a win bad too. So it's going to be at times maybe ugly, at times maybe just a slobber knocker. But Mean Green come out in a close game, they win.
All I'm gonna say is, last week took a L, but tonight we bounced back.
Hey, there you
I'm
go.
definitely going with North Texas tonight. It's, I would agree it's definitely a game that we have to win. It's nothing that, we can just, like we did against FAU, just go in here and play. No, we have to play North Texas football. We have to play the way we've been playing this whole year because this is important. They want to get to that bowl game. They want to win that conference championship, so we have to win tonight, and I think we will. North Texas.
Kara's t-shirt says, 4th down, we ain't punting it. You know why? Because we're kicking it with Trevor Moore. Last time I was up here, I made the magical prediction of what would happen. So you guys might want to take your notes.
That's true.
Everyone might want to pay attention. 35-28. North Texas wins. I think it's a close back and forth game. I think we're going to be down early in the game. Old Dominion goes up 2 touchdowns. We'll come back. That score doesn't have any field goals. Trevor Moore will be really good kicking extra points tonight. North Texas wins.
We need to teach this, we need to get into a math class next time.
41-35.
Add in some field goals in there.
Yeah.
I'm going to dip back into my road game roots and give out a caw because I'm going Mean Green all the way. I think that, like we've said so many times throughout this show, last week was a wake-up call. Was it disappointing for the fans to see? Yes. Did the team need it? You know what? If we're gonna get one of those wake-up calls, it will be this time, and I'm glad that we have it.
And you're not putting on the scrappy head, but we do have a special guest behind us currently, as you do pick North Texas.
Scrappy.
North Texas, across the board, we have an extra special guest, Mr. Scrappy, joining us back behind the desk. But that's going to do it here for Mean Green Game Day. Thank you to everybody who pulled this one off, as North Texas and Old Dominion are just about set to battle here at Apogee Stadium. For everybody involved, for our director, Hunter Arnold, for Drake Lawson, Josh Conrad, Ashley Pickle, and our special guest, Kara Bullock, I'm Kyle Yeomans. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week.